this is Nomadic Juicer. Today I want to talk to you guys about the cost and trying to keep costs low when you're doing a juice fast. This is one kind of common issue or one thing that I really see that kind of hinders people from actually committing to a juice fast or just committing to incorporating juicing into their lifestyle. So I just want to give you a couple tips that I've used and that have worked for me over the past couple of years doing a juice fast. So let's get into this. So the first thing you want to work on, and the first thing I recommend, is to look at your budget. So what I mean by this is that you want to understand like where your money is coming in and then where it's going out. So understanding, obviously all of us have essential items that need to be paid for every month. We have our rent cost or mortgages, we have the light bills, we have the phone bills, we have, internet bills and stuff like that. But at the same time, when you know what's going out, you can understand how much money that you will have and be able to set a budget for how much you can spend on fruits and vegetables. So to give you like an example for myself, living here in Armenia, I spend about $10 a day is my budget. And of course that's very flexible. Sometimes I'm a little bit over, a lot of times I'm under. But that's a tip that I would recommend for most people to do, is that way, because you know how much you're gonna spend on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or a monthly basis. And it just kind of helps you get your priorities lined up. And if, to me, like health is extremely important. So, I'll sacrifice, buying a pair of extra shoes or, buying the latest, trendy stuff. And, I'd rather put that money towards, my health or buying herbs or, just making sure I'm always have juice in my body. So the next tip is you always want to juice seasonal. And, coming from America, that was a concept that I really didn't understand, honestly, until I left America, because in America, you have everything's always available, year round. But one tip that has really helped me keep the cost low is that you want to drink what's in season. So for right now, this video is being made May 30th, going into June. And right now, watermelons will be in peak season, or they're coming into peak season. So when you think about that, you think about, kind of the principle of supply and demand. Watermelons are going to be in abundance, so that means the price is going to drop, dramatically, and that's going to be very accessible for anybody who wants to juice. And this kind of leads into my next point, is that you want to juice mono juices. I think when the juicing movement kind of started, it was very common to incorporate, 5 or 6 or 7 different ingredients into your juice. And I think just we're kind of moving out of that era, and I see a lot more of individuals and people that I follow. We're more into the kind of mono juices, or if not mono juices, it's maybe 1 to 2 or 3 ingredients. And the power of mono juices is that when you go to the store, you don't have to buy one ingredient. So for example, to keep costs low, buy watermelons. Watermelons, they provide high yields. When you get to peak season, we're talking you get maybe a 5-10 kilo watermelon for $4 or $5. It's gonna make enough juice for you for at least 1 to 2 days. So buying in season is key, because sometimes you can do the same thing. You want to buy a watermelon, it's the middle of December. Well, the price of watermelon is gonna be sky high because it's not in season right now. So that's another good tip. Another tip that you would recommend as well is to drink fruits and vegetables that have a high water content. To kind of piggyback off of the watermelon example, watermelons have an extremely high water content. And so when you juice those, one big fat watermelon is going to yield you about, almost 4 or 5 liters worth of juice. And some other high water content fruits and vegetables would be cucumbers, citrus fruits, your apples, some of your leafy greens. It depends on the juices that you have, but those are very high yielding as well. Pineapples are up there. I have a list. And the next thing we'll talk about is you can actually cut your juices. So that's another tip, is that, say you can only afford maybe 10 oranges, say you can only afford 5 oranges, but 10 oranges typically will make you like a liter of juice. So instead of using 10 oranges, you use 5 oranges, which will make you about a quart. It's about 16 ounces. And then you go ahead and you cut that juice with like some sparkling water, That'll cost you $1 or $2. Boom, that makes you 32 ounces or a liter. Now you have a juice and kind of keeps the cost low. So that's another tip as well. So the next tip is that, this is more for my American viewers, is that you want to shop sales at these different grocery chains and supermarkets. So, King Supers, Aldi's, Whole Foods. I kind of would avoid there. It's kind of overpriced in my opinion. But Trader Joe's, Kroger, whatever your local supermarket chain is. I know on a weekly basis, they always have like weekly sales. So it's good to kind of scour those on a weekly basis and see what's on sale. So if apples are on sale or cucumbers are on sale or, pineapples are on sale, we'll go ahead for that week and, buy and kind of stock up on those particular fruits and vegetables, because that way it's going to help keep your costs down. That's one thing I always used to do back in the States, because I personally, I understand, I know, cost is a very touchy subject when it comes to juicing, but I understand that, juicing can be very expensive in America. So I'm just trying to really give you some tips that I used when I was living in America to kind of help me just keep costs low and just kind of be able to manage and keep my budget really tight and in line trying to do a juice fast. So the next thing on top of that is that sometimes you want to actually go and exploit the different international markets. So, I'm from Colorado in the US, and I know for me, we have like a number of different Asian markets. We had one particular Middle Eastern market. And for me, I always found that their prices, even on produce, was a lot fresher because they have very constant, good relationship with their distributor. And then I also found that the costs were extremely much cheaper, even than, your traditional American supermarket stores. So that's another tip that I definitely would recommend if you're concerned about keeping price, you're just concerned about price in general, because that just helps you keep price low, and then you just have more variety too. I know like with the Asian markets, you can find kind of more of the exotic fruits. You can find a lot of the coconuts. That's one thing I wish I had here. The papayas, aloe vera, and they're just at a fraction of the cost. So that's definitely a good tip that you can use and kind of exploit to help keep your juice fast low. The next thing that I recommend is that try to go to farmers markets. I know that's pretty common in the summer in America. And then also, if you can, I know farming is not huge in America, but if you can try to befriend one of your local farmers and just start to build relationships with them, that can really help you keep costs low, because you never know what that relationship can turn out to. Like for me, in instance, I live over here in Armenia, and I have 4 or 5 different friends or families that I know that have farms out here. And, obviously they always have oversupply of, whatever fruits in season right now. And so I know at particular times in the year, they'll literally allow me to go to their garden and go to their, kind of orchard and just literally just pick up, I could take a 5-gallon paint bucket and just pick up like a big thing of pears or a big thing of apples, or, I know people with watermelon patches and grape vineyards. So you never know what, sparking up a conversation with a local farmer, you never know what that could turn into. You could trade services. You are specialized in something. I'll give you X for certain amount of fruits and vegetables, or you give me the fruits and vegetables, I'll make you juices. You just gotta kind of start to think outside the box, and don't be afraid to network and kind of support local businesses and small businesses, especially in the time that we live in right now. Another tip is look for wholesale markets. Now, I don't particularly know where they are in America. I know you're talking to a good buddy of mine who's a healer. Her name's Ginger. There's a big wholesale market out in LA. I know here in Armenia, we have a big wholesale market. And a lot of times when you can go there, you can get like dramatically cheaper prices, but you have to buy a little bit more in bulk. But at the same time, you could buy in bulk, and let that produce last for, 5, 6, 7 days. So that's another really good tip. And then my last tip is, honestly, if you can start to garden, I think kind of with this whole crisis, that's really kind of showing, how fragile supply chains can be and how quickly and, kind of abrupt things can be disrupted in a supply chain management. So I think growing your own garden and being able to kind of supplement, being able to grow your greens, or being able to grow, tomatoes, or if you have like an apple tree or a peach tree, just being able to, kind of keep that cost down. There might be a little bit of upfront cost to get the garden started, but that cost, will pay itself back, kind of tenfold. And so those are some tips that I use when it comes to juicing and trying to keep the cost low. Like I said, I wanted to address this because I know it's a common kind of concern that people have, and they think juicing is expensive. But I think if there's a will, there's a way. I truly believe, and if you really want to heal yourself and you really want to take your health serious, that you'll find a way to make it happen. And with these tips and just thinking outside the box and just being creative, juicing doesn't have to be that expensive. And I think your health is one of the greatest things you can invest in. And I've seen people around me that have been sick, and I just seen how astronomical those medical bills are. And my father had leukemia about 2 or 3 years ago, and it's just, those bills are insane. And it's like, would you rather pay $150,000 to deal with a medical treatment that might not work, or would you rather just spend maybe a couple $100, maybe $1,000 altogether, and just invest in your health over the long run? And so the choice is yours. I'm just kind of laying out facts, but I appreciate it. I got a book coming shortly. You guys can check that out. If you're listening to this in the future, it'll already be here. But with that, I hope these tips help you. And if you have any more questions, I'm always available. Just reach out to me, send me a DM, let's chat. But until then, I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.